Buddy, Monday, June 8th, something beautiful, extraordinary, brought a tear to my eye. It happened at the movie theater just yesterday at my shift. We're getting ready to launch a brand new devotional for the week. Right here, the contents. It's packed with material related to, among things, Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day film that's about to be released, and I'm going to be going to the sneak with my parents, which is very, very cool. One of the perks of the job. We're going to be talking about, it seems like, the forces of darkness that are in mainland Iran. They have backed themselves into a corner now, it appears. No way out, no exit strategy. Going to need 45, 47 to finish the job, and not counting on them. They are saber rattling. Don't be dismayed by that. They are the ones who are going to decide how the job gets finished. They are the ones who are going to make the final decisions. They're not doing squat. Now, I want to get back to, first, before anything else, what it was that really moved me yesterday greatly. So I'm working, selling the tickets, and a person that had been very, very important in my life at moments, not widespread, but I worked in fine dining for a total of 8 years at a very posh fine dining Italian restaurant in one of the main tourist spots in America's finest city, as it's called out here, where Batman lives. And I, at the time, was a restaurant critic for the San Diego Union Tribune. Talented palate, and so I was able to schmooze with guests, and people would, once you get comfortable, it's like having a favorite barber or a favorite person at a salon do your hair. You call for that person. And I had this regular customer of mine for the duration of the 8 years. He really liked me. He was didn't show it, wasn't wearing flashiness, nothing, but would come in, looked like, is it Teppy? I'm saying it wrong. The character from Fiddler on the Roof. If I were a rich man, huddle deedle diddle doodle daddle 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 da. He carried himself with a little prestige around him. He would come in like the Sheikh of Araby into the restaurant with his 10 children, sometimes their friends. The wife, she was lovely, and they would always ask for me. And they would come in at least twice a month. So do the math, 52 weeks a year. If you cut that in half, twice a month, right? Is that how? Or cut it? Yeah. So that's 26 times in my life times 8 years. So do the math. We're talking about in the hundreds. This person was very important to me. Not only that, but because he brought in a lot of business to the and prestige just by going to the place where I worked. It gave me a little job security and made me feel very good, like I knew what I was doing in in that line of work. And I did. I was considered, even by the Union Tribune, which was the local newspaper. My column was called Yummy Diego. I was considered a voice in the foodie local regional community. I had my own column, after all, and for a long time. So this fella and his 10 children and wife, they were it doesn't sound glamorous, farmers. Okay? Tomato farmers in San Diego, where the main three produce out here is tomatoes, avocados, and strawberries, curiously enough. And I made it my business to find out early on. This fella, his name is Harry. And Harry had 5,000, add 3 zeros, farm hands to pick the crops. He had one purchaser. Now, for a chicken dinner, I'll pause. You tell me, who was the purchaser? McDonald's. So you can imagine how many ketchup packets. The land that he was on was blessed beyond measure. It was just a printing press, a cash cow. And Harry had this thing of meeting his family where he was, where they were headed to eat dinner, to join them. But he would always show up, and we had valet parking out in front in grand fashion. So every year, this was one of his indulgences. And we used to always get a kick out of it when he would pull up each and every year. Check this out. The bling of blings, if you will, especially if you like the likes of Hot Wheels and whatnot. He would show up each year with a brand new Aston Martin, the James Bond car, the latest one that rolled off the shelves. It was super cool. And then when Tony Stark Iron Man movies started coming out, he moved to the Audis, and maybe just to try something new, right? Yawn, to be bored for something like that. So Harry would come in, and he would ask for me, and he had the main room, some semi-private dining room there. And this went on for years and years. And he was very important to me. In addition to whatever the tip was, imagine, and that's a nice table. The tip for a party of 12 to 15 people on average, and drinking and whatever they wanted to order to eat. And he often had lamb chops, which is a top dollar plate there, and a nice bottle of red, usually in, let's say, $100 bottle range. They went through about 3 bottles. Imagine, twice a month. And 20% tip, automatic. He never blinked. For him, it's a nickel, so everything's relative, right? But then on top of everything else, he'd pull, and this meant a lot to me for my livelihood, at the time, my ability to maneuver and survive. And I was still, but on the higher end, blue collar. I wasn't in no way, shape, form white collar. But his family was so important to me, and he would also slip me a $100 bill, just to finish the thought, on top of the tip each time. And they really liked me. The wife did, the husband did, the children did. I made it my business to know them by first name, and they liked me so much that they even invited me twice to their annual Christmas parties, which they threw for the farmhands for everybody, and they spared no expense. We're talking swank. Let's say, like, if you went to a private party, a wedding, or what have you, the hotels would charge the person's paying for the bill upwards of $200, $300, $400 per person for the food, for the hosted bar, and everything else. Okay, all that said, I lost touch. I hadn't been working there in a long, long time. By the way, if those of you who've been following what gets said on this material, so if you scroll back a ways, I was shocked when Hillary Clinton was on the news. This was just a few months ago that this video came out, and when you sign on to the app, you get all the other archive of stories, and they're good. They still can feed you with manna infilling the likes that you're not going to find anywhere else. Was the story of Hillary Clinton testifying and having to come clean about the shenanigans that her and her husband, Hillary, were doing, and getting over on people, and evil gets away with things once again. This never seems to be a time when the bill comes due. But soon enough, the sands in the hourglass of unpaid bar tabs of sin are going to come due. And it's going to be a shock to a great many people who thought, well, wait a minute, God is dead. And didn't I hear that from Jimmy Kimmel and from Oprah and from The View, that God is dead, that we can run roughshod? The laws apply to thee and not to me. Didn't I hear that somewhere? Well, you heard wrong. You heard dead wrong. And IRGC, you heard dead wrong. Word to the wise. There ain't no wise people among those cast of idiots out there. Let me say that the story that I saw a few months ago, where Hillary Clinton was basically testifying before Congress, I was watching live news, and she blurts out, they asked her point blank, how did you meet the Epsteins? And she was caught dead to rights because a photo had been released. I have to give you a little backstory. A photo had been released of her having the madam, Jeffrey Epstein's madam, who's incarcerated, at her daughter's wedding, third row, an aisle seat of prominence as the people are walking. The witch, the daughter of Hillary, is an affirmed witch, bad witch, upside down cross, bad witch. Do your homework. Don't just take my word for it. And Hillary, with a capital KKK, goes, well, I met her through a mutual, and him through a mutual acquaintance named Teddy Waite, who was a regular at the restaurant where I worked. And there's a whole PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 story, geek and nerd that I am. I preached to a nerd and geek choir. Fantastic story where my jaw dropped when I heard it all being disclosed. And that's a story separate from this one. But so Harry showed up in his fancy schmancy ride, and that happened regularly. And we even opened a second location, this one closer to where the Batcave is, actually. So none of these restaurants exist any longer, but they were there pumping out, and I was, if not the main guy on the floor, one of the main guys on the floor. A very, very talented crew back in the day, I gotta say. Very much so. We had a ton of repeat customers. It was a place to come to eat. No question. And the food was certified legit. Enzo, the chef and part owner, fantastic. And Pat, the owner, and his mom. God is always seeing 10 steps ahead of everybody, right? So at the second location, this is years later, heading toward the twilight of when I no longer was working for the company any longer. I'm working at the second location. I helped open it. And in comes super late at night. We had already been putting the chairs and tables. The chairs get put on top of the tables and for sanitary, and everything was getting shut down. Lights were getting turned off. The floor was being swept. But a person like that, when they come in, all bets off. Kitchen stays open. This is a VVIP. This goes above VIP. This guy pays the rent with his frequency, with his money. So you leave the place open for as long as there were some times where Pat had to leave the place open 2, 3, 4 in the morning. That was the case when during Comic-Con, and Comic-Con is right around the corner next month out here. It was a hub. The likes of one night was McFarland of The Simpsons, American Dad, Family Guy, not Simpsons, but Matt Groening of The Simpsons was also there. And there was a third big person. I think it was the creator behind King of the Hill. But they were all there to come in to eat. And they were also hung out they hung out so much and got drunk at the bar so much so. And I wasn't there that day. I would have been a fly on the wall. But I heard from coworkers afterwards that they started getting drunk, these guys, and started personifying the voices for the characters. And Dan Castellaneta was there, who's the voice of Homer Simpson. And so they were on panels at Comic-Con, and they were there shooting it up and changing characters and everything. I would have loved it. I would have been in my element, my people, right? Not unlike now being at the movie theater. Those are my people now. That's where the Lord has steered me, into this place. Okay. But this was the kind of place it was. And the place that opened like 3, 4 in the morning because of that. All right. At the second location, Harry came in super late at night, and we see the nice fancy car coming. Oh, we've got to stop, turn the lights back on. It's Harry. We got to open at least one table for him. And he walked in, stunned as we were, because there's an old adage, if you're a sensitive Christian, cover your ears. But I'm going to talk to you like I try to keep things 100. Don't shit where you eat, as the saying goes. So he came in to his place that the family, he'd bring his children, he'd bring his wife, their friends. He came in with his mistress. This is late at night. So we didn't know he had some strange on the side, but there it was. So we weren't, in my position in working different fields like a cab driver, I'm an enabler. I really can't tell them, okay, I can't take you to the medicinal marijuana location, because all they'll do is they'll complain about it to the hotel that called me, and then they won't call me back in the day, or it just reflects bad. I won't get more business, certainly, because that person then says, okay, take me to the airport, take me here, take me there. So, and you may be caught in those situations yourself. So I'm not about to say anything to his wife, certainly. And he came in. One thing that struck me was this girl, by comparison to the wife, who he'd been married to since they were super young. And she was really a co-builder of whatever they built together, and certainly a beautiful family, among other things. But this girl, and she was lovely. The wife was lovely, kept herself well. Millionaires can look, a woman in her 60s, 70s can look like she's 20 because she got the money like Jeff Bezos' wife of Amazon. It's all plastic. It's all an illusion, right? Well, she looked wonderful. And I don't even think she needed a lot of touch-ups, the wife, that is, at the time. And I say at the time, so I'm sort of forwarding the story by not wanting to, but here we go. So he came in and he just asked for a plate of an appetizer of cheese and I'm trying to think of the correct word. Don't get old, gang, but it's just essentially cheese and salami, provolone, charcuterie. That's the word I was looking for. So he asked for some charcuterie, some wine, and then we played some music in the background. We had cleared an area, and him and his mistress started dancing. Can't say nothing. Can't say nothing. And it's not my place to say anything. God, if he wants, can put the cosmic Catholic guilt on a person, if not, right? So they leave after a while. They stayed a few dances. It wasn't a long stay. And that was that. About a week later, he comes in just to have lunch at the new location. And I'm on one-on-one with Harry. So he knows I've got his back. I don't have to go into histrionics and break his confidence. It's not for me. That's not my place. And I said, Harry, I got to ask Harry, what do you see in this girl? Because you have a smoking wife, and this one was nondescript. She was really not much ado about anything, to use the Shakespearean phrase. And he tells me without really batting an eyelash, like he's given some thought to it. I'm not saying this is right. I'm not justifying the behavior. I'm just telling it like it is, giving you the raw feed. He said, it's not so much what I see in her. He goes, when I look at my wife, all I see are the financials. Like he had blinders like a horse on. And it had gotten so ugly, the divorce, and she took him for half, that he couldn't see past it. Even though, yes, half of that meant his children would endure with prosperity and what have you. I hadn't seen him. I hadn't seen him for 25 years, but when I saw him, at first I couldn't believe it. He walked into the movie theater yesterday, a shadow physically of what he was, this guy that walked in with prestige. It comes to us all. Even me, Batman is fading physically. My dad, even 25, 30 years ago, what a difference. Because my dad is only really like 25 years older than me. So to say 30 years ago, let's say, he was my age, my dad. But now he's dealing with physical frailty. And so is Harry. Harry came in on a walker with what I think is his new wife. And the other ones, the children, I ran into her once at a pet store, said hello. It was nice. But the one who buttered my bread was really the father. And I hesitated to say anything because I wasn't sure it was Harry. And then, would you believe, and this is like scripted adventure. It comes to us all sometimes from high command, right at your doorstep. Sometimes when you're hungry, you don't even have to send for a waiter and give the order. They already know, oh, this kid needs some spiritual meat and potatoes. It's time. Whatever it is you need. And to protect you from an equivalent of bad spiritual acid indigestion, maybe sometimes you don't get what you want. And accepting that sometimes is really difficult. Oof. Don't get me started. I'm going to save that discussion for another time. But the wife comes back to the box office. The husband had already been put in his walker frail to the movie that they were going to. They went to go see Michael Jackson. Good movie, gang. We talked about it. We talked about it here, about the wondering whether any parts of our old selves get taken up with us, memories, experiences, the good stuff. Or does everything get shaken up like an Etch-a-Sketch toy of old and you start afresh? I believe you're going to carry a part of you, the edifying, inspirational part, maybe a cleaned up version with you. So they went to see Michael, and I had talked about that not too long ago. And so I said, I got to ask, is your husband named Harry? She said, yes. And I hadn't planned on it, but I was overwhelmed with emotion, and I started to cry. And I told the lady about how important this man was in my life for a stretch of time. Sometimes you don't have the person for the endurance. You have a beginning, middle, end. And Harry was one of them. And if, as I've said in the past, the bride, the bridal party, Mr. and Mrs. Christ, on lower court, there's the highest court up there, the judgment seat. But even so, I believe that this is a personal opinion. This is not scripture, word of God, that we are going to have one-on-ones with people that we've come into contact with, where on one side, we're going to have to end up apologizing. We're going to finally get closure. And on their part, like a person like Harry, I'm just going to send it up the chain, because this guy did right by me all the time. So whatever concerns there are, because we hold sway, gang. Listen, we hold sway. This is extra biblical. Do your own homework. But it seems to me, it's a reasonable thought that if you're holding a wedding rehearsal dinner party, the spouse, in this case, Christ's bridal party, men and women, one bridegroom, everyone else, the bride, we're going to get to have a say in the attendees, who gets to be there. We get a say, the final Eve to the final Adam, because that's who Christ's bridal party is, an archetype of the final Eve to the final Adam, because Jesus Christ is the final Adam. On the passenger ship manifesto of the last Noah's Ark, we're going to have a say, or at least try to influence. I think we hold sway. So I could say, this is extra biblical, but I could say, Harry Singh, this guy did solid by me. Show him a little more extra common courtesy. I want to see that guy around. I don't know if that will work, but I would think that the spouse's opinion counts heavy. Counts just a little bit extra, if you want. And that's not boasting in self. That's boasting to become one. Great mystery to that. Escapes a great many people. Because this is a large theological concept that's still being batted around in scholarship circles. Seminarians are not all in agreement that you become Mrs. God. It's a 3-in-1 right now, 3 personalities, 1 substance, Father, Son, Spirit, but it becomes 4-in-1. This is a great abstract. There's a general citizenry in heaven, the ones that don't become Christ's bridal party. It's just believe, receive. It's the greatest freebie of them all. You're in. Just a minute, sir, ma'am. You will be attending the royal wedding. You are not in the royal wedding. You will be polishing silverware, perhaps like a server, waiting for Harry to show up. So they got divorced. She took half. He came in. Just reminded me of my own frailty and my dad's frailty and his frailty, certainly. I gave her playing a little history lesson. She didn't know too much about Pasquale's was the place with him and his family and his glory days with his car. She didn't know any of it. So I said, when you go back to your seat, here's my info. Tell Harry hello. Anytime y'all come in, please come see me. Ask for me. I'm there full time. The Lord has opened the door. I'm getting more than, at least for now. May it continue. From my mouth to God's ears. May it continue. They're giving me as close to full time as possible without the penalty of having any of my Social Security disability pulled, because you're making too much. But I'm right on the fine line, which has provided great relief. Okay. I want to show you something regards to Disclosure Day. Disclosure Day is coming out in the week ahead. As always, I pick on average about 3 Bible passages that I think pertain to the topics that we're going to be rolling out. One of the topics that's being rolled out is this seeming coinkydink. I don't believe in coincidence. I think what happened was a deep state knew that Spielberg was writing and directing. The guy's a genius. He wrote and directed E.T. He wrote it. We got a guy right now at the movie theaters that has written his 5th screenplay. The guy could be, for all I know, the next Spielberg. So be nice to everybody out there, you all, because you don't know the person that's just in a minimum wage perfunctory job, maybe even cleaning toilets. Some of the staff have to clean the toilets. I had a guy today that was wiping everything down with a cleaner and did a good job. I really liked the guy. But you can't judge books by the cover. So this guy, Spielberg, wrote and directed Close Encounters of the Third Kind. What a resume. And he's responsible for many of the big blockbusters that the world has seen. And I have said constantly on this here that God uses popular forms of entertainment as a way to forward big intel that flies over the heads of a great many people, but to the trained eyes and ears, we're picking up intel. And in this case, I think what happened, Deep State tried to piggyback onto him or financed it, bankrolled, because there are examples of that also, for their own nefarious purposes, to try to misdirect people and say, well, the alien people, and they are not necessarily our overlords, but they are another species. There is no God. We are just a small creation, maybe of a larger construct. They try to make it ambiguous, ambivalent. That way, it's nothing to see here, people, as far as God. But yet, even with Big Bang Theory, Flying Spaghetti Monster, and all these other stupid abstracts, the point is, out of the nostrils of the Lord, let's say whole galaxies are formed, right? And they say, well, you're just a small piece of the giant puzzle, this and the other. But the point is, when you start questioning the likes of that awful puppet for the enemy, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is godless, rudderless, and yet he's propped out there like the authority on things. He's the authority of ungats, of squat. To go back to my Italian restaurant roots, this is an expletive. He's an authority on zilch. Because how stupid is it to be the authority on things that have to do with cosmic, creator of all, architect of intelligent design, significance, when you don't believe it yourself? Truth is out there, but not the truth that they're spewing, that we are insignificant. Humanity is but one of trillions of life forms out there. We are insignificant. It starts and ends here, gang. This is the center of the universe. Everything else, this is it. The only religion of the world's major religions, the only one, Christianity, the only one, do your own homework, where the God of that creation came to dwell among the creation, the creator dwelt with the creation in the flesh. The only one where that happens. Wanted to see what that was like. WARTS. Yes, if he was to experience being fully man, he went through what is the common cold. Yes, he lost his baby teeth. Yes, he may have gone through the heartaches of being rejected by somebody that he had feelings for. Could have been. You want to be fully man, you got to go through those things. Argument in silence. Argument in silence. But you cannot be argued out of the realm of possibility either. All right, gang, I want to show you the 3 verses that were picked. One of them I've already prepped a sound bite for, as we do. We call them teaser previews. You're going to like all this. We'll start with the teaser preview. It shows you a moment when the NASA probe called Voyager was featured in the first fantastic Star Trek film. So it is Romans 1. Actually, there are 4 Bible verses for this go-round. One of them was on the previous set. So if you add the app on Tumblr, which is free and safe, then you have the archives. Oops. Hope you're still there. So what? Sorry. So what happens on the archives is they move down a notch, and the new stuff gets put at the top. But you still have access once you sign up for this. This one comes from the most recent batch, but it's a carryover to the new stuff, the Disclosure Day stuff, Spielberg. So this is Romans 1:25. Here we go. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie and worshipped and served the creature rather than the creator. The stupid likes of stupid Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is clueless, who is for the Lord, that is for every worthy of praise. Check this out. And there's video clips of certainly of Star Trek, book previews, audio previews. I mean, it's indispensable. It is man of the likes that you don't find pretty much anywhere else. This is what the actual paperless digital magazine that I publish, which comes out, gang, daily. This is what it looks like, the cover, the top of it. This can be seen from smart TV, smartphones, laptop, desktop, tablet. And if you scroll down, I'm going to show you how this works. This is the not the one that's about to be published with this video intro, but how it shows up on the page. So the image you saw is there, and then there are videos and stuff that you can press. Let's see, just to test this out.
I'm seeing images of planets, moons, stars, whole galaxies all stored here, recorded. It could be a representation of V'ger's entire journey.
And it goes on, but V'ger is Voyager. And there is an absolutely indispensable video as part of the stuff we're rolling out right now related to the busy handiwork of Father. It's not like they tried to be funny. They made fun of it, actually, in the Masters of the Universe movie. This whole thing of, what do you mean He-Man, in this era of walking on eggshells and everything is toxic masculinity. And so he should be called he, him, plural, by Legion, no less, one of the troublemakers in the movie. The earthbound boss of He-Man, for crying out loud. Yes, a father figure cannot be removed from the equation, cannot be rendered, screw you, Tallarico. There are wolves in sheep's clothing out there. Be mindful, pray into, by the way, top triage priority, pissing the bride off here, Batman, a lot. This whole robbery of the election irregularities in California, I plead with you all to keep praying about that. But the likes of Tallarico and others, wolves in sheep's clothing, guy claiming to go to a seminary, God is not a man, when he fathered a child, no less. This video, part of the carryover from the previous ones, this video is very important. There are a lot of crazy sounds that are being recorded by Voyager, which is still alive and kicking in the far reaches of the galaxies. It's already left our galaxy. It's in the next galaxy over. And hanging on for dear life. They're shutting down systems in order to keep it alive, but it is sending back signals that take about 30 hours to come back to Earth. And they're hearing sounds they, imagine, have never, ever heard, were ever recorded, ever. All right, let's take a look at some of these other things that we're working on. Let me see if I can bring them up. Here's one. We're going to save that for last because we're going to talk about what's happening in Iran as well. But I want to share these two for sure. Amos chapter 5, verse 8. It is the Lord who created the stars, the Pleiades. Pleiades is a term still being used in astronomy today. And Orion, the belt of Orion, both of those. He, the Lord, turns darkness into morning and day into night. In other words, he set order to it. It's not chaos. One of the main things, too, that befuddles the likes of this idiot deGrasse Tyson is if everything's just so random and things can be hit by flying rocks out there. How are the planets circular, perfect spheres in a perfect spot according to the pull of the sun in the solar system? If it's been proven, if the Earth is 1 degree further away, severe cold, 1 degree closer, severe heat. It's perfect. And Batman's neck of the woods, they say, is on the. I have always kept this close to the vest. Curious that America's quote unquote finest city is on the same equator line as the promised land, the perfect weather possible. Okay. He draws up water from the oceans and pours it down as rain on the land. Yahweh is his name. The next one I want to share, also referring to the Pleiades and Orion. And remember, gang, back then when the scriptures were being written, they had a beautiful night show. It was harder to be a non-believer back then because you saw the constellations, because light was not bleeding, artificial refracted light, dim-witted bulbs of electricity clouding up the skies. The night skies were a show every night. It must have been incredible to be a stargazer back then. So the Pleiades and Orion were able to be spotted with the naked eye back when. Not the case any longer. So you have to watch out for false light, gang. But let me read this to you. Now, this is when Job had lost everything. And then later gains it all back. But he's in the company of 3 friends that are left speechless, don't know what to say. The best thing that they did was shut their mouth and not try to say, well, this must have been you. You're to blame. Don't blame anybody else. Be hard on yourself. Tear at your loincloth. He had already done that, Job. But then Job's error, and even the wife said, you should just kill yourself as mercy. The wife, the better half told Job that. Curse God and die. That would it would end your misery quicker, son. Be careful not to do that. Always drop to your knees and seek get out of jail free card, as it were. And comfort will come in the morning. So he was in a time of grief. But then one of his big errors is he blurted out, even though he hadn't really warranted the punishment, it was an experiment, a conversation that was going on between Satan and the Lord. Have you considered my servant Job? And the devil said, he only loves you and worships you because look at his grandeur. He's like Harry. He's got everything. You take all that away. You allow me to antagonize and punish him. The Lord said, you cannot demonically possess him, but I'm going to allow it. God allowed it for a stretch. You can wreak havoc on his life. And then later God restored it all. And Harry looked so frail, it really made me tear up. So the devil messed around with him. So he didn't really have it coming. Job was an exception. But then what happened is Job's boo-boo is that when he finally did speak up, he started complaining. Why me? What did I do? Who are you that you should be paying attention to me? I'm so insignificant. Why did you let other people get away with murder? How come I wasn't able to get away with murder? This, that, the other. Why? Then, take this as a takeaway, y'all. This is good stuff. God began to ask him several, at the first one, I'd be like Ronnie Dangerfield. He asked several hundred questions back to Job in the form of an answer, as if, how dare you? How dare does the clay talk to the potter that way? How does the clay talk to the potter that way? And so these are among the several hundred questions that the Father asked of Job. And these are rhetorical questions. God's not asking. For instance, it's not part of this, what I'm going to read you, but one of the questions that's always blown my mind was, can you give me the precise number, the exact number of the grains of sand that exist on the earth? As if to say, shut up while you're ahead. Judge Judy does that sometimes. It tells the plaintiff, does it look like you're losing? Just zip it while you're ahead. That's basically what God is telling Job here. Here's the verses I wanted to share. Joel 38, verses 31 through 33. This is rhetorical questions. Can you, Job, direct the movement of the stars? Binding the cluster of the Pleiades, or loosening? Remember, what you bind on earth as it is in heaven, what you bind, Mrs. Christ. You have similar powers. The power of God living in you, not through human manufacture. You have the power to bind and to loosen. He's saying this here. Can you direct the movement of the stars, binding the cluster of the Pleiades? It's above our pay grade. We bind things, but on a much smaller scale. Or loosening the cords of Orion. In other words, to send Orion flying into the Pleiades doesn't happen. There is order. There is order. We serve a God of order. Continues with another rhetorical question. As if the several hundred earlier weren't enough, it continues. And Job didn't know where to go. They were out in the outdoors, and he didn't have anywhere to crawl on, a rock to crawl under. Can you, as if there were a rock so big enough that you could hide from God, can you direct the constellations through the seasons, or guide the bear with her cubs across the heavens? Do you know, Job, the laws of the universe? Did you even know there were laws? Can you use them to regulate the earth? Somebody should let Al Gore know with the browbeating of the weather, and they used it all as a money grabbing scheme. It was so horrible. I could go on and on with showing you things. I'm not sure that I want to do that right now, except if I have handy one image that was really, really cool. It'll be part of the magazine if not, so not to worry. Let me see if it comes up. No, it does not. Okay, so we're going to move on to the trouble in Iran. Okay, so Ambassador Mike Huckabee, the ambassador to Israel for the United States, former pastor, mind you, whose daughter is a governor in the United States. He's carrying clout. He's got stripes on a spiritual military uniform, I would dare say. He said just now, this is recent current stuff, he said, the mothership of Satan is in Tehran. And that's on the basis of the fact that they're firing missiles. They've got a death wish. They're firing missiles at a time when there's an agreed upon moment of truce. But they're flexing muscle, trying to show people, yeah, we still got an army. We're still going to kick ass. We're still going to say what we want to say. We have the final say on things. F you, United States. There's a lot of chatter behind the scenes. And this guy is reaching the point where I believe at some point he's just going to get the authorization, after demonstrating great patience, to just decimate, because they have no exit strategy. What's going to happen, you're going to find some fantastic indispensable material on the new devotional related to what is the real analysis of what's going on over there, stuff that you don't get from compromised nightly news. There's some tremendous new analysis that has broken it, and I'm breaking it down for you on the new material. You don't want to miss it. Let me see if I can quickly show you the image that I wanted to show you. But see, this is all unrehearsed. But I have it here. Here we go. Here we go. Christ is King. Have it Yahweh. I loved it. I love when the Lord speaks to me in that sort of childlike manner. Not childish, if you understand, if you put your spiritual thinking caps on. So I'm now moving into the possible restart and decimation of Iran. There was something that I wanted to point out to you all. Let me see if I have it loaded up. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. It's Psalm 34, verse 16. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to wipe out all memory of them from the earth. Finish the job, Mr. President. Finish the job. Don't leave it half-assed, half-done. Finish the work that's needed. Finish it, finish it, finish it, finish it, finish it. Father in heaven, I lay this at your altar footstool, all these concerns, all these things. In the names of the bridal party, plural, and the bridegroom. All of it. All the dirty laundry, good, bad, and ugly. Wipe clean what needs to be wiped clean. get us back on track. We're hot and cold running. Hot, 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 hot. This is the hour. Amen and amen. On a selfish note, go New York Knicks. We'll talk soon. God bless you all. Much love. Pour through material. When you share it, it's credited to you, not me, as having performed evangelism. Batman signing off for now. The truth is out there, but you have to sift through the garbage to get at what it means if God created other life forms. God may have created other life forms, but it's going to be marketed to you by deep state as otherworldly saviors, perhaps, and it could well be the current leaning theologically is that these are fallen angelic outcasts. They could look like insects, they could look like E.T., they could look like all manner of alien odd things, hybrids, Nephilim, mixing blood, things like that, but that's all bastardizations, and it could be the fallen angels. So you gotta be very, very sharp. All right, take care. Have yourself a good day. Bye-bye for now.